the president, who was, being pushed, at this point of issue, point of, tussle between the ruling dispensation and the opposition. It seems the president has now come. The Honorable President Draupadi Murmu has said Prime Minister Modi is people's pick, and indelible signature of history as the Prime Minister opens the new Parliament, swanky looking Parliament building, the Sengol right in the middle of the Parliament, the Prime Minister's hands. That's going to sit right next to the Speaker of the lower house. Om Birla accompanying the Prime Minister. A lot of adhinams over there as well. It was a grand day. And let's not forget, Prime Minister Modi knows how to work his optics real well. The photographs, the videos, everything is being retweeted and shared on social media. So much to say that Shah Rukh Khan went on to Twitter and say that, it's a big day, and it's a beautiful looking new parliament.
Well, Kabir, one thing that we have to in fact see is how the coverage has been on all the newspapers, and of course every one of them having huge pages in fact dedicated to what we see, and great pictures that are coming in as well. This is the headlines from Hindustan Times. It says, "Heart of democracy beats in a new home." So this is the headline that they have put, and they have in fact put Sengol and other things on it. So they are in fact speaking about how the Sengol is very important, and at the same time they have in fact spoken about the new Parliament House will bear witness to a new dawn for India. And they've taken few quotes from the Prime Minister. What are the quotes of the Prime Minister? Well, this is what the quote they say: "Every decision taken here will lay the foundation of India's glorious future. Each brick and wall of this Parliament building should be dedicated to the welfare of the poor." This is one quote from the Prime Minister. The other quote is, "Every achievement of India is going to become an achievement for different countries in different parts of the world in the coming days. Today's India is leaving behind the mentality of slavery and embracing the ancient glory of art. This new Parliament building is a living example of this endeavor." Then another quote that has been given is, "This building has a virasat, heritage, as well as Vastu, architecture, Kala, art, as well as Kaushal, skill, Sanskriti, culture, as well as notes of Samvidhan, constitution." So everything has been put into this particular Parliament, thought process that has been put into it, saying that it will reflect India's culture. And the Sengol, of course, notwithstanding the controversies that are there, and we both have been talking about whether it, talking about it, but still, it talks about the Sengol is a representation of power, whether it was with the monarchy or not, but it's been placed at a position in the Lok Sabha. So I think when the Sengol is in the Lok Sabha, we must in fact look at it from a simple viewpoint, that is that the power has been given to the people because it is in the Lok Sabha. It's been placed rightly in the Lok Sabha next to the Speaker's chair, which represents that power from monarchy has moved to the people. So that is there, and of course
you were here yesterday, covering the entire event. Any particular portion of the Prime Minister's speech that, raised your eyebrow, took your attention?
Well, when the Prime Minister was speaking, two things in fact was interesting enough. One is about, he spoke about Sengol being the continuity between old India and new India. So that was something that the Prime Minister had in fact spoken about, and that was about saying that India's continuity as a civilization is something that was being marked in that. Secondly, what the Prime Minister was saying, that there was a new focus and a new vision when it comes to the new Parliament. And interestingly enough, as I quoted from the Hindustan Times on that particular quote, "Every decision taken here will lay the foundation of India's glorious future. Each brick and wall of this Parliament building would be dedicated to the welfare of the poor." Probably, we won't be able to move out of our socialist past. And no matter which Prime Minister, no matter which ideology you profess, the poor of India will always have a say in any policy decisions that is being made in this country, and at the same time in the Parliament that discussion will be happening. So the Prime Minister in fact emphasizing that at the end of the day it is welfare of the poor that they are looking for.
The inauguration has happened. The opposition parties had planned that they were going to, boycott the event. Take a look at some of the comments that have been made in the newspaper from the opposition. This coming in from Pawar Saab. He says, NCP Chief Sharad Pawar said the rituals performed at the inauguration show the country is being taken backwards by decades. What is happening today is exactly the opposite of what Nehru envisaged. And on the other hand, the BJP says, book RJD for treason for coffin remark. This because Tejashwi Yadav led RJD, which boycotted the inauguration, triggered a row by likening the shape of the new parliament building to that of a coffin. BJP's Sushil Modi said that the party should be booked for treason.
You are unnecessarily raking all these things, I'm telling you. But yeah, when it comes to the opposition, of course, when we speak about the government, we have to speak about the opposition too at the same time.
I mean, isn't that the idea of the parliament? Well, the ruling dispensation.
Yes, it is the thing
of dialogue and ideas.
Dissent is something
clash.
that should be there.
Yeah,
dissent is something that should be there, and of course, even the Hindustan Times has also raised that interesting quotes. Well, I'm not quoting Pawar because you have already mentioned him. Rahul Gandhi's quote is there: "Parliament is the voice of the people. The PM is considering the inauguration as coronation. Arrogant king is crushing the voice of the public." Especially on wrestlers' detention, he's also mentioned. Then we have MK Stalin, in fact, coming up and saying the detention of protesting wrestlers is what again being said, shows that Sengol has been the first very day. Okay, it is fair that this should happen on a day that sidestepped the president. Do you know what the story about the Sengol being bent, Kabir?
Nope.
Okay, it is a story about a woman called Kannagi, and then ruler of the Tamil state, where the king had wrongfully accused Kannagi's husband of stealing, and he was put to death. Now, Kannagi proved the innocence of her husband, and the king died on the spot, saying that he couldn't deliver justice, and the Sengol that was with him had bent.
The scepter.
The scepter that we are talking about, where, so because it is supposed to denote justice, so it was bent, and there is more to that story as well. So the Sengol, in fact, so MK Stalin is going back to the issue about Sengol being bent to that particular very important story in South India on Kannagi's story is what he has made that reference to. So a person who would normally read would not understand why he's referring to the Sengol being bent because it is related to Kannagi's myth. So I mean, interesting Indian politics, sometimes you have to know about so much of this country's culture to understand even the politics of this, because there is a complete, reference to that story.